Hello, my delicious co-creators. Lilu here in beautiful, sunny, warm Tokyo for this interview with Linda on the animal wisdom. I'm excited to talk about this topic because it's definitely an important topic. I think a lot of us realize that we can communicate with the animals. So this is not about just can we, but it's how can we deepen. This is what I want to speak with you about, because you're definitely this specialist with animals and you had experience since you're a child and you've learned from the birds and a lot of different animals. So we're not just talking of the dogs and the cats around us, but really all kind of animals. How can we deepen this relationship? Because you're even saying it's actually a spiritual, we can deepen our spiritual human experience here. Tell us about that.
Yes, I'd be delighted.
I'll hold that for you.
Well, the first thing is that the root word anima means soul. And in my life experience, Lilu, from my childhood with animals, I learned all life is soul, all life. There is no greater than, less than, better than. It just isn't. And in the great world of cosmos, source, whatever, we are all one. And we're all animals as well. And so the communication aspect, as you said, we can all communicate. We're all animals. But unfortunately, as humans, we've claimed dominion. So what I try to help people understand is that there are really three ways to communicate with animals and have relationship with them. Observation. Second, and it's most popular, 63 to 65% of all households in U.S. and many countries in Europe have at least one companion animal living with them. So it's that closer bond. But there's a third way, and that is a more intuitive, spiritual connection that grows and deepens when we stop doing and we remember to be in relationship with a human or an animal. It's all the same. Or the trees.
Mm-hmm. Nature, yeah.
In all of nature. Nature.
You can listen in the same way a tree than, can you say a bird?
I can, and I believe we all can. But animals as well have intuitive capabilities that are more latent in humans. They're more hidden in us because of our modern culture. Yeah. But we can get right back into that connection and realize all life is soul. And that's the important conversation we as humans need to be having today. Yeah.
What is there a specific type of spiritual lesson that is there? I mean, I know you had some kind of this like big epiphany and connection and transformation, even connecting with birds. So what was really there for you? How old were you and what happened? So we can get how deep and really practical actually this is, because this is the cool part.
Well, it is actually very practical and logical when you think about it. And of course, as physics is showing us, that there is no ending of me and beginning of you. We really are, demonstrated by the subatomic level, we're all connected. In other words, the electrons in my body or the body of your dog, we're all connected. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the electrons and physicality of our own bodies are connecting constantly, or we wouldn't be alive. But there's no reason that those same electrons cannot be communicating with yours or anyone else in the cosmos.
We turn them on? How do you do that?
Already on.
That's a good use.
We just need to pay attention. Uh-huh. Pay attention. And I believe that the great connection is through the heart. I tell everyone, try to meditate. Try to quiet the voices in our minds. The only people who don't have thoughts are dead. But we can quiet those thoughts. Yes. And then we can reconnect and be. Yes. We become transcendentally irresistible to animals when we show up through our hearts.
Uh-huh. And the practical aspect, like what information you receive with the birds, for example?
I received, particularly from birds, when I was a little girl, that I would just show up in love, as I was saying, and they receive, and they invited me into their world. And that was a world of, and there are a lot of Linda-isms in my book, and one of them is what's called the joy of aliveness, inviting us into the joy of life. Bad things happen in everybody's life, and including the lives of animals. But there's a joy beyond circumstance that animals will easily invite you in to share. And I, as a kid, would actually lose the boundaries of where I would end and they would begin. And it became what I later would understand as a meditative state. So it's an invitation to come into the oneness. And it's very simple.
Yeah.
All we have to do is pay attention. And it's there.
And being there. So with the birds, we kind of get lost in the symphony of what they're singing, and we look at them.
Imagine a Monday morning, and you're rushing out of your door, and you've got your to-do list, and you're suddenly distracted outside.
In Tokyo, do.
Suddenly, a bird is beautifully harmonizing in a tree. It distracts you into the present moment. It's as simple as that. And allow that distraction to pull us into that joy of simply being alive and the connection with what is. Because the only time anything really ever happens is the present moment. Yeah.
And so most people that have dogs or cats would say, I feel the connection, I feel unconditional love, I feel the relaxation and all that. So is there some questions that you ask them directly? Or is it, how can you deepen just that? Like you already have that connection, you're already aware of the birds, you just want maybe more message, or just really why are they here, or that you really communicate deeply?
Well, animals have their own meaning and purpose. We have to remember that they are not here to serve us. They have their own lives. But everything we do, so
You're
much.
not the master of a dog or something. That's
You're
what.
not the master of the dog. But in the morning, you're in your closet trying to figure out what to wear, or I am. This happens a lot. And I'm suddenly in all my, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I have nothing to wear. I'm this, I'm that. I'm in all my brokenness. And my dog or your dog will simply cock his head and say, what's wrong with you, woman? You're beautiful and perfect the way you are. You are the incarnation of perfection. And
He tilts his head like that. Yeah. I'm sure he can tilt his head. What's the name of this one?
This is Pepper.
So Pepper say,
Pepper.
you're beautiful, Linda.
Yes. And, we need this. We need to be reminded that we are simply good enough. Yeah.
So it's really, you're saying it's just their presence. It's not really asking them a specific question.
It's listening.
It's noticing.
No, it's listening, and it doesn't require words. Remember, dogs and cats are not speaking English. They're not reading Shakespeare. We assign the words, but the meanings come in through our hearts and our souls, and that's the connection that people are aching for. They're aching for that heart connection with an animal. Yeah, and I recommend everyone to go into the quiet a little. I have a whole chapter of very simple exercises in the book that will help people connect more, not only to animals, but to ourselves.
Tell us about that exercise, because let's get practical. I think
Let's
it's
get
important.
really practical. Yeah. Spend a day in silence. Okay. A Saturday, a Sunday, a day of silence. It's
No talking.
no talking.
No computer, no internet.
Right. One day.
One day.
It's life-changing.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. It's really life-changing. Or people ask me all the time how to better, I want to communicate more. How do I do it? I say, well, just shut up and listen. Be quiet. And I recommend people will go to a shelter and sit in a room, often in the U.S. I'm not sure about Europe, but they have big rooms where cats will...
That in Japan, they love that.
Yeah.
They have those cat bars.
Yeah, and just sit and be. You don't have to stand on your head, repeat mantras, do anything other than just sit and be open and receive. It's that simple. It truly is. Yeah.
And how do you explain that they get, for example, they see if there is cancer in somebody, or like dolphins would do that too, and they would just poke, or there's all these instances where they're just really, truly, it's truly deep, remarkable information, like they scan, they're healers,
There's a whole part of my work that I do, and it's actually on my website, and it's called The Unexplained Powers of Animals. And I have a treasure trove of stories, exactly like you're saying. But there are some reasons we can explain, some due to smell or, various reasons that animals can do that. They have, again, Lindaisms, what I call species-specific genius. Every species has something unique, but much of it we cannot explain. We simply cannot explain. We know it happens, but why does it happen and how? Mostly it's love. I mean, animals will warn diabetics, people who are having epileptic fits. They'll know. How do they know? We're not sure how they know.
Is there some kind of guidebook, or could you tell us several animals? What are their specifics? What do they specifically hear or can heal or solve? Like dolphins or like cats or?
Ooh, dolphins are particularly protective. We know. They work through a sound system that is. If there were two mountains of intelligence. The top of the mountain of one would be humans, the other would be dolphins. So we're different. We're very, very different. But the intelligence is immense. But they, for some reason, which we don't know, are particularly protective. They'll push people to safety. When humans are struggling, they'll go in, they'll circle around someone who's being followed by a shark. I mean, we see it. How it works, we don't know. A cat. Cats are particularly amazing because, number one, we really don't know. We can't explain the mechanics of a cat purr. But what we do know is that when you have a cat resting on your chest and the purring is here next to you, it is the most amazing increase in the human immune system.
We call it ronron therapy in France. Yeah. So that would be purring therapy.
It is truly... It raises the immune system more than anything. How? We don't know, but we know it happens. Yeah. We know it happens.
And if you had one word to put on this wisdom, because while I interview, travel the world like that, I meet many wise people. And what, like, if I could interview, a dog, like how could you summarize that wisdom? Like, what if we could label it?
Well, I'll tell you what I received from a herd of buffalo in South Africa 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's cool because it's not just you could have spiders, squirrels. Spiders may be different.
But the message is very similar throughout the non-human being world. And the message I clearly hear, and it's why I do what I do. It's not what I do, actually, it's who I am. But what they want us to remember is our hearts. And what the buffalo said to me is, do not forget us. Do not forget us.
Do not forget yourself.
Teach the humans what you know. Oh. Yeah, we are all here as one. And speak the voice in your heart. Yes. And don't be afraid to make a lot of noise.
Thank you so much, Linda. I love this interview. This is, I'm going to do several interviews actually here with a lot of people that were at the Fuji Declaration, the Symphony of Peace Prayer here in Japan in Mount Fuji that just happened on the 17th of May 2015 every year. An amazing event. Just a little word of that divine spark, because what a moment.
We are all the divine spark. And let me just say that while the speakers were talking about the divine spark, I was looking up in the sky and there were birds circling and weaving and dodging. Their presence was there. Yeah, they were there with us. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. They were doing their singing. There was a lot of singing and praying.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Big kisses to all of you Juicy Co-Creators wherever you are around the world. I pray for peace and for you to connect deeply with your animals, because this is part of peace, right? By doing so, we're opening to peace for ourselves.
That divine spark in ourselves and in all life.
Beautiful. Thank you. Big kiss. Bye-bye.
Thank you. in my life experience, Lelu, from my childhood with animals, I learned all life is soul, all life. There is no greater than, less than, better than. It just isn't. And in the great world of cosmos, source, whatever, we are all one. And we're all animals as well. And so
of animals, how can we deepen this relationship? Because you're even saying it's actually a spiritual, we can deepen our spiritual human experience here. Tell us about that.
Yes, I'd be delighted.
I'll hold that for you.
Well, the first thing is that the root word anima means soul.
An important topic. I think a lot of us realize that we can communicate with the animals. So this is not about just can we, but it's how can we deepen. This is what I want to speak with you about, because you're definitely this specialist with animals and you had experience since you're a child and you've learned from the birds and a lot of different animals. So we're not just talking of the dogs and the cats around us, but really all kinds. Hello, my delicious co-creators. Lilu here in beautiful, sunny, warm Tokyo for this interview with Linda on the animal wisdom. I'm excited to talk about this topic because it's definitely
communication aspect. As you said, we can all communicate. We're all animals, but unfortunately, as humans, we've claimed dominion. So what I try to help people understand is that there are really 3 ways to communicate with animals and have relationship with them. Observation. Second, and it's most popular,